from home, we find that we depend on WhatsApp as a form of communication now more than ever. Now, the 15th of May, it has come and gone as WhatsApp's new privacy policy, originally scheduled for February, comes into effect. Now, what are the ramifications if people still don't accept the new terms? Well, Nicoline Skuman-Low, the managing director at Skuman Law Inc., joins us now via Zoom to answer all of these questions. Good morning, Nicoline.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
You know what, this is such an important conversation because it felt like just the other day where people were like, I'm going to leave WhatsApp, move somewhere else. But just as a reminder, what was the major concern surrounding WhatsApp's new update policy that was originally scheduled for the month of Feb?
Well, I think succinctly, the main issue that we were facing was the fact that we suddenly became aware of information that was being collected from us and that would have been shared with sister companies within the Facebook group. And these, well, let's be clear, it didn't include the actual message content, but things around you and who you are and your contact details, your device, etc. And that was the main issue of concern.
And I think it scared a lot of people. Now, what happens in the event if a WhatsApp user doesn't have Facebook? What use or concern is the new policy to someone like that?
Well, I think have a look at some of the material that we've seen being produced on commentary around this topic, and from magazines, even overseas, such as Forbes, for example, have written quite interesting pieces around the theory of data collection and sharing. So I think the first thing that listeners and that the audience should be aware of is the fact that it's not just about the fact that a sister company will use or have access to your data for marketing or improvement purposes. It is the very fact that it's being collected and we don't really know what for. That's the key component. We are being told that it's for efficiency enhancement and technical development and support, but what does your device or your telephone number have to do with that?
Okay, and I can understand why that is so concerning. Now, I was unfortunately one of those people that just accepted the T's and C's without really looking what I was accepting. But what happens now if a WhatsApp user still rejects the new policy that was in effect from the 15th of May?
Well, it's important to note that Facebook and the group company that owns WhatsApp has been very elusive about the process that will follow from Saturday onwards if you have not accepted the policy. We are being told that you'll lose functionality over time. What that exactly means and when exactly it will stop working, essentially, I suppose we'll have to look and see. So really, we are at the same crossroads we were in January, and it's critical for you to have a look at if you are open to accepting this. Bearing in mind our information regulator, who is the agency appointed by government to lobby for responsible use and, of course, to also act as the watchdog, has issued a directive to Facebook as a group saying that you cannot collect from South African users if you don't have my consent, specifically in regards to the contact details of a user. So it's still a debate ongoing in South Africa.
And definitely something to keep our eyes out on. Now, is the concern around the new policy still very much alive like it was in the beginning of the year, or have people now softened towards it?
Well, there are quite a few people that seem to think that the collector of the information, being WhatsApp and the Facebook group of companies, were hoping that we would soften up and just click on accept.
Yeah.
But I don't think we've seen that. The statistics don't say that. I think especially now with Poppy becoming effective, the promotion of or the Protection of Personal Information Act in South Africa, the GDPR and a similar equivalent around the world, we have become much more vigilant. We've become much more educated and more focused. So from a South African perspective, I am not convinced that we've softened up to this debate.
Well, that at least is very good to hear. And at least as South Africans, we're looking out for ourselves. We're doing the necessary research before just accepting any T's and C's that WhatsApp is offering. Nicoline, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. Best of luck on these choices, everyone.
And there are big choices. Thank you so much, Nicolene, for that insight. And hopefully that will help you at home to make an informed decision as to whether you want to continue using platforms like WhatsApp or to migrate to something else.